Hello, welcome to all. I welcome everyone to the Indian-Mexican Cycle of Conference. Sujita Pillai is a present in the conference today to give the information regarding the rock art. Let me introduce to you to them before the lecture begins. Sujita Pillai has completed her first master's in AISC from Deccan College, postgraduate research institute in Pune, Maharashtra, and her thesis focused on the documentation and paintings and engraving in the Madurai, Tamil Nadu, India. In 2017, she has selected for the Erasmus Mundus program of IMQP, the International Master in Quaternary and Prehistory, funded by the European Union, and her thesis focused on the documentation of painting rock art sites using the digital technology in Spain and the Portugal. Also, she has participated and presented multiple papers, international and national conferences, and also she participated in the various excavations and exploration across India and the Europe. She is also the Indian delegate from the 1902 committee, a global database for rock art and research. Currently, she is embarking on her doctoral journey at the University of Campania Luigi Vanvitelli, Italy, and is also writing a monograph with her former Portuguese and Spanish supervisors. So everyone, welcome to all, and I request to Sujita to
Hola and greetings of the day, everyone. So I'll start with the presentation and thank you to the organizers for giving me such a lovely opportunity.
Thank you. Now I am
Tariq,
going. Yes,
Tariq,
yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
host disabled.
Now I request to lecturer to present her slide. Yes, visible.
I hope the screen is visible.
Yeah.
So
I request to all the members of the PINAC Heritage Management, please turn off your video.
Thank you. So when we are given a small task of making a human figure or an animal, the first thing that comes to mind is this stick figures. It's very easily made based on our thinking. But isn't it amazing to know that our ancestors have done the same millions of years ago? Yes, that's what today's topic I'm going to be talking about. And it's known as rock art. So what exactly is rock art? It's an artistic expression that are made in landscape context. The main classification of rock art are pictographs, which are in the form of paintings, petroglyphs, which are engraved on the rocks, and geoglyphs, which sometimes, according to some scholars, have been arranged as earth figures, and all these constitute rock art. Where are they found? Usually, they are found on different type of shelters. They might be open or closed shelters. They might also be found in caverns or also spread across huge boulders. And who made it first? As you know, the recent news, Neanderthals have been said to have made the first rock art, and it is evident from the Malaga site of Spain. On what surface did they draw? Usually, they were made on quartzitic surfaces, or also there have been evidences where there have been laterite surfaces, or apart from that, even sandstone or something has proven easy for making rock art. And colors usually have been made from natural ochres, such as like white, which is made from kaolin, red, or recently, as you can see a small stamp. This is the site of Tito Bustillo, where they have been purple ochre that has been used in the site. What is the reason to study rock art? Before the writing practices had taken place, there were non-verbal messages that our ancestors had for us. There was a transition from nomadic hunter-gathering life to sedentary lifestyle, and definitely there was an evidence that it was through the pictorial evidence. It was not only an expression of things, but there were a lot of sublime thoughts, expressions. Also, a lot of other things were very evident. It was also a passage of associated archaeological context. For example, there have been many sites where then not only rock art has been found, but also we have evidences of lithics, bone tools, and numismatic evidences. Now, I'll get a small tour of India. And as everyone knows about Bhimbetka, one of the first UNESCO sites in India, and also a World Heritage Site. And we have extensively a big plethora or a repertoire of rock art paintings over here, ranging from various time periods. The next one that we are talking is about the state of Maharashtra in western part of India. And here we have huge, more than large life petroglyphs which have been found. And since decades, research has been going on by local enthusiasts and also by the State Department of Archaeology. As you can see, they are very extensively spread across acres, and there are more than thousands of engravings that have been found. And efforts have been made to using tools of public archaeology to create awareness. The next site is about Jharkhand, which is really fascinating. As you can see on your right hand side, there have been beautiful paintings that have been made, and they are known as Khovar and Sorai. Khovar, the etymology comes from Kho, which means cave, and Var, which means bride. It is one of the matriarchal system of painting the murals, which has been carried out almost in many villages in Jharkhand. Credit goes to Justin Imam Sir and Bulu Imam Sir, who has worked extensively over decades in trying to preserve this type of murals. Also, they have been made from ochres, and they are mainly carried out in a living tradition practices. Also, in the left hand side, you can see the painted hand figures, which have been said to be existed from the prehistoric times. Talking about Bihar Museum, though a lot of rock art has been found over here, one of the interesting facts is the kids section in the Bihar Museum, where a stencil has been formed digitally, and the kids can use various ochre to procure and to make what process goes behind painting on the rock art. Talking about Ladakh and Upper Tibet, which forms the borderline almost, it forms a very important part of rock art because there are mascots, as you can see in the lower figure, which is said to be the faces which have been painted, and also they have been found in Inner Asia, and apart from that, there have been a continuation of that in Serbia as well. You can see there are been evidences of Maltese crosses which have been found over here. And also there are a lot of swastik and shamanistic figures which form a very important tradition of rock art. Chhattisgarh has been showing one of the plethoras of rock art. So here on the right hand side, you can see there have been evidences that have been made. Here it is known as Khuna Lata, which means the evidences of handprints which have been made by using blood. And also below, you can see there have been orange color marks that have been made, specially which upon the original rock art paintings, and it indicates that it has been made by women. And also there are many indicators because hand engravings and hand paintings is a very global phenomenon. They are mainly indicators which are not usual. They are maybe a markers of territory or a markers of presence. Also on your right hand side, you can see this picture. It is a Pichwai painting which is very famous in Rajasthan, and here there is a tradition that goes that during the festival of Pola, we have bulls and they are cows, and they have been hand painted, and it is said that it is the hand paints are supposed to bring prosperity to the seller. When you talk about South India, it is usually a combo of 5 different states, And one of the important thing is where the interdisciplinary steps in over here. It is not merely rock art, but also where we have the soundscapes or archaeoacoustics. Not only they have been found when the two rocks have been clinging together or the sounds have been produced, but also there have been motifs that have been found. And this pictures of here which I have shown of sound gags, they are from Sanganakalu and Kuggal, and we have a lot of people who have studied very extensively, and they usually contribute to the field of archaeoacoustics. Talking about dual habitation in the state of Tamil Nadu, which falls in South India and which also forms one of the part of my master thesis, which was carried out in India, there was Jain occupation. As you know, Buddhism flourished, and also parallelly there was this religion of Jainism flourished. These monks used to have the habitat in the caves, and also we have the habitation of the rock art people making rock art in such caves. Here you can see that it is the same cave that I have shown, where there are been lot of paintings that have been made, and along with a lot of vandalism marks. Now let's have a small tour around the world to see what exactly rock art is represented through various mediums. So I was fortunate to be the part of Valcamonica Field School in Italy. And here we have more than lakhs of engravings that have been done. And here it not only they have striven to teach things only of documentation of rock art, but also different techniques like handloom techniques, or how to actually procure or how to use methodology after the documentation. We had a 1-week workshop specially for study of prehistory. It is not only important for us to study about the rock art, but the origins are, the roots are something which are important. And here we were shown about different ochres, the procurement, and also the different techniques in which rock art has been made. There have been museums that have been dedicated to rock art. So the one where you can see blue, it is the Masao museum, which usually boasts of the Tagus Valley rock art. And there are more than 7,000 engravings, and they form an important part of Iberian Peninsula. And also in the left, you can see it is known as Foshkova. And there are a lot of more than lakhs of engravings that have been found, and beautifully they have been preserved by the museum authorities for people or for laymen to understand what it means behind these pictorial representations. This is known as a Museum of Rodao, where there have been different types of pictographs that have been studied, how they have been categorized, and also it forms very important for comparison of studies. Now, I would like to talk a little about what my thesis was all about. So I had taken the site of Pego da Rainha in Portugal. It was already studied, but we were very happy to use 3D technology. And also with the 3D representation, we were able to find out what exactly new things were there in the sites. So we can see a lot different type of fingerprints. You can see a new anthropomorphic figures. And also there have been different patterns or lines that have been left by the ancestors. And the second site, which is known as Cueva del Percelejo, which comes in the Badajoz province of Spain. And this is one of the, this was already studied almost in 1980s and 90s. And we tried to use scientific techniques such as pigment sampling to know the organic binders if they have been available. And we were very happy through the research that we have found evidences of black pigments. Apart from that, we have used color checker to calibrate the ochre amount, as there have been some difficulties in the IFRAO scale. So as you see, this is one of the 3D panels that we have made. So if you see this panel, it is more than 200 centimeters, but thanks to 3D technology, we were able to club it very smoothly, and it had been very important for us because this panel had brought us to a new dimension in studying the rock art, a new schematic or pre-schematic technology that had existed. Talking about Africa, as we all know, it has different diverse tribes and communities staying together. In Africa, the rock art has a very sacred meaning. It can be for symbolism, shamanism, communication with the divine, and sacred style. So you can see the Bushmen and sand women who have been very instrumental in still preserving this type of rock art. Then below you can see the camels, which are white and red in color painted, which shows maybe there might be evidence of camel, and it was documented in Ethiopia. Then the one next you can see with beautiful borders, and inside they have been painted with different forms like shaman, and they have been found in Malawi. The next, let's go to France, and you can see because of the problems of the quality, the deterioration of the rock in Lascaux, they have been closed, and a cave replica has been found, has been created for the visitors, and it really is very tremendous so that it doesn't affect the natural habitation of the caves as well. Even the Chauvet caves is something that really is outstanding because they have not only developed it as a tourist site, but also it has created a very global phenomenon in reaching people about rock art studies in the world. The next comes in New Mexico, which is known as Chaco Canyon. So Chaco Canyon again becomes something very important because here there have been evidences of archaeoastronomy, which has been used in hand with rock art, and it becomes very interesting. So we have been we have created a global database, which is 1902 committee, and I am a proud member and I'm an Indian delegate, where we usually share newsletters, or we are intended to study and about the different rock art around the world, and it becomes very easy to connect people on a global platform. So what exactly has been going on in Indian studies of rock art and its prospects? In 2015, there was an article that was about the digital future of what rock art in India. What if different new technologies will be used? What will be the future? What will be the effect on the studies of future generation or for rock art enthusiasts? Now we have been stuck between two ends. As you know, like we have more than 7 to 8,000 rock art shelters in India, or maybe more. We are more pursued towards quantity than the quality of work. Most of the works of rock art usually confines itself to methodology and also the documentation and submission of report. There can be a revisit done, there can be scientific analysis. There has been complication also in documentation of the pigment sampling, which has become very difficult for Indian rock art enthusiasts to study about the organic binders. Traditional methodology has always been used, and it is very important to embrace new types of technology or methodology to incorporate and also to see a future in rock art in India. Talking about vandalism, so here the picture that I have shared itself is from rock art, a petroglyph site in Maharashtra. So there has not been a very typical or a specific scientific dating or methodology that has been prescribed for engravings. But the chalk marks over here, which has been shows a sign of vandalism, is really very difficult, because in future, if there might be a case that dating of the petroglyphs can be done, it will be very difficult because already the like the elements have been polluted, like the dating specimens. So what happens after the post documentation of any rock art site? So there are 6 steps that has been like incorporated. It is known as RASI, that is Rock Art Stability Index. Here you have the context in which the rock art is found. For example, is it an open air or a closed shelter? Talking about the weakness, we need to know the vulnerability of the rock art site, like if it has been prone, or if there has been very regularly, like there has been attack on it. Then the third step is large erosion events. Some of the events like flood or earthquake, or when there can be a different type of erosion, it becomes very difficult to study or preserve that type of rock art if it's very near in the habitation context. Then Talking about the small erosions, it can be like you have lichens or you have cracks that have been formed when it is exposed too much in the air, like because of expansion. Then the coatings, especially because you have lichens, you have a lot of different type of like nest or wasp or different other types which are keen to change the appearance of the original set of rock art. And vandalism, it can be specially made usually by humans where they go these sites because they are very far from the habitation areas. You especially the anthropomorphic activities such as you have making fire in the caves or smoking, this type of activities naturally affect the quality of rock art. So, what are the stories that we learn through stones? So, we have pigment based motifs, we have superimpositions. So, superimpositions, it means one upon the other. And on the left hand side, you can see that we have tried to segregate the different types of superimpositions through different types of layers. Global context, it becomes very easy for comparison when you have a very connected study, and also when you try to compare the ipomorphs of different type of examples like the mascoids that you can see on the right hand side, they have also been found in Serbia. The degree of deterioration, it helps for condition monitoring, they go hand in hand. So we can make a protocol for next 10 years, like what exactly can be planned for the site to get preserved. And also a message from yesteryears that always remains a question: what did they try to tell us? What was the purpose of them? We really doubt that if they wanted to tell us, has it been perceived to us in this generation? And thank you for your attention. That's it.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank Sujita Pillai from everyone. She has presented his subject in a very beautiful way. If the audience has more information or questions, they can ask by the conducting the lectures via email ID. We are attaching their email IDs to this video. Once again, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.